Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I can almost guarantee you that at some point you've probably asked yourself, am I bad with money? That's the age-old question that keeps us all up at night. And what's the best way to really know how bad you are with money? In my opinion, it's listening to a random guy on the internet telling you all the signs that you will see if you're bad with your finances. So in today's video, I'm that random guy and we're gonna go through and rank all these different signs. So sit back, relax, and let me know in the comments if you have done any of these. First sign on the list here that you are bad with money. Yes, I'm talking to you, Steven. I'm sure there's one out there. If you have overdrafted your account multiple times within the past year. Notice I say multiple times. I'll cut you some slack if it's only been once, but if it's multiple times within the past year, that is a sign that you are bad with money. And a lot of people will brush off overdrafting accounts like it's just something that happens. But here's the thing. Overdrafting your account simply means that you are spending money that you literally do not have in your account. You're spending money that's not there. If this happens more than once, it's probably a pattern, right? It's not just bad luck. It's not just, it's something that happens. If this is happening consistently, that's called a pattern. So you're also getting hit with fees every single time you overdraft your account, which just makes the situation way worse. So it's basically this never-ending cycle where you're keeping yourself consistently behind and then you're paying extra for it. And it usually comes down to not knowing your numbers or not having any type of financial buffer sitting in your account. So if you have overdrafted your account more than once within the past year, you're cooked. This is something you need to figure out ASAP so you stop overdrafting your account. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money is if you get to the end of the month and you go, where'd my money go? Where's all my money? Why am I broke now? This, unfortunately, is probably one of the most common signs that I would say on average, this happens to a good handful of people. I know friends who are like this, family who's like this. You guys probably know friends, family, maybe even yourself is like this. You can't fix a problem if you don't admit you have one. And a lot of people will feel like they're doing fine. Everything's fine day to day. But then they get to the end of the month and they're like, oh crap, I'm broke. I have no money to pay my expenses. And usually this typically means you're spending money you don't have. You're spending money on random things that you probably don't need to be spending money on. So if you get to the end of the month and you're wondering where'd all my money go, you're also cooked. This is something you need to figure out. You need to have at least some basic plan around your finances so this does not happen to you. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money, telling yourself, I'm 21. I don't need to figure out my finances now. I'm 25. I got so much life left. I don't need to figure out my finances now. I only live once. I don't need to figure out my finances now. Those are all signs that you are bad with money. A lot of people will tell themselves, I'll figure it out later. And then it's going to turn into years. And then you're going to be extremely stressed and anxious when it comes to the topic of money. And you're going to wish you figured it out a lot sooner than later. And unfortunately, I'm going to break very bad news to you guys here. So get ready for this. Money does not fix itself, right? Money is one of those things you have to take control of. Because if you do not take control of money, money is going to control you. It's going to control your life. And when I say figure it out now, like you need a plan to figure it out now, a lot of people get really worked up on that topic because they think I'm saying, oh, you need to start investing and get a tattoo of Warren Buffett and read his book. Bro, all you need is a simple little plan. Even a plan like, hey, instead of spending $1,000 this week, I'm only going to spend $500 this week. A simple plan like that can take you a very, very far away when it comes to your finances. It does not need to be super complex and thought out. Very basic plans can do very good things for your finances. So if you are waiting to figure it out later, this is a very big red flag. Next sign on the list here that you, my friend, are bad with money is if you are using buy now, pay later for basic expenses like clothes, groceries, gas, etc. Now first, I want to say this. If you're in a very bad financial position and you've done this, I do feel for you, but I'm not talking about you in this example. The average person who can afford these things outright should not be using buy now, pay later. Every time I talk about buy now, pay later, I get a whole bunch of people in the comments saying, bro, you don't understand. Buy now, pay later is not that bad. It's 0% interest. It's better than credit cards. Bro, I don't care about no 0% interest. It's teaching you bad spending habits if you're financing everything. Why would you finance gas for your car or groceries even at 0% interest? Just don't do it. If you have the money, spend it and learn to deal with the hit right into your bank account. Because in my opinion, buy now, pay later is kind of like a psychological spending trap, right? It makes spending feel a lot easier, but then you have 5 plans on your Affirm app and they all add up to $200 a month for stuff you bought 3 months ago or for gas 2 tanks ago. So just spend the money if you have it. Don't use buy now, pay later for basic expenses. This, in my opinion, is a big red flag with your finances. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money is, let me ask you a question. Right now, are you paying the minimum monthly payments towards your credit card? Because I hate to break it to you, if you are, you're absolutely cooking yourself. And here's why. A lot of people will stay in debt for years without even realizing why. And it's because they're paying minimum payments. And those minimum payments are designed to keep you stuck in credit card debt. That's how those big banks make all their money. Let me give you guys an example here. If you have $5,000 on your credit card at 20% interest, right? And nowadays, 20% interest is kind of low. Your minimum payment's probably going to be around $100 to $150 a month. Sounds manageable, right? Oh, let me just pay that minimum. I'm doing the right thing. But most of that money is going to interest. It's not going to the balance on your credit card. So if you only pay the minimum, it could literally take you 5 to 10 years to pay off that credit card. Not to mention, you're probably going to end up spending around $2,000 to $4,000 in interest alone. So if you are paying the minimum on your credit card, you are absolutely cooking yourself. And I know a lot of people will say, well, you have to carry a balance month over month to see your score go up. I am here to tell you, bro, just pay off your credit card. Your score will go up organically if you pay off your credit card. Every time I put something on my credit card, I pay it off the next week, and I'm at a 798 credit score right now. So I'm telling you, you don't need to carry balances. You don't need to pay the minimums. Just pay the damn card off. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Next sign on the list here is if you have a job and nothing has changed within the last 6 months with your savings account, with your investing account, or with your debt, something is seriously going on, and you more than likely have a spending issue. 3 things should be happening. Your investing account should be going up, your savings account should be going up, and or your debt amount should be going down. If none of that's happening month over month, something is going wrong with your finances. You either have a spending issue or you have a spending issue. It's simple as that. So every single month, you should be doing something to get yourself further ahead, whether it's even contributing a little bit, $20 a month, $20 a week into your savings, into your investing, and or trying to pay off your debt aggressively or just a little bit more aggressively than whatever your monthly payment is. So if nothing has changed within the last 6 months, come on, little bro. Next sign on the list here that you're bad with money is if you are saying yes to every social event, regardless of cost, because of FOMO, this is a very big money problem. And it adds up fast, right? It's never just one thing when you go out with your buddies. It's always going to be dinner, then drinks. Drinks are expensive. Uber, trips, whatever it might be, depends on how extravagant your plans are. And suddenly you spent hundreds of dollars and you're sitting there broke and you're like, damn, that just set me back a couple weeks, couple months, whatever it might be. And what you're doing is you're basically letting other people's plans control your finances. And most of the time, you didn't really even enjoy it that much. You didn't even enjoy the event that much. You just didn't want to miss out, right? So you go broke and you're like, crap, I really messed up my finances. The issue, in my opinion, is not going out. It's just having no boundaries with your friends. If you say yes to everything, your money does not stand a chance. So if you have friends out there and you really don't want to go out this night because you know it's going to put you in a bad financial situation, and you say, hey guys, I think I'm going to skip tonight, and those people are going to judge you, maybe you need to rethink who your friends are, because good friends would be like, hey man, no worries, right? And plus, we're in the age of social media. You can just Snapchat your boys and see what they're doing anyway. So this is one of those things that feels normal. A lot of people fall into this trap, but it's not. Don't let FOMO control your finances. Don't let things you're not really going to even enjoy control your finances. Next on the list here that you are bad with money is if you are using your credit card as your emergency fund. This is not normal. This is terrible for your finances. And this is one of those things that a lot of people have very high conviction that, man, I don't need that big of a savings. I got a credit card. Worst case scenario, I'm sure you guys have heard this before. I've heard people say this, where it's like, oh, if something goes wrong, I got my credit card right here with $6,000 on it. That is borrowed money with interest. That's not an emergency fund. That is money you borrowed from a bank, and they're going to charge you interest on top of that. So if something goes wrong, which it will, you're not just dealing with that emergency, but you're adding debt on top of it. In worst case, if you're paying that credit card minimum monthly payment on top of all of this, you're turning one emergency into months of payments and interest. So an actual 3 to 6 month emergency fund, that's what's going to protect you from emergencies. Credit cards are not emergency funds. These should never be used as emergency funds. And if you are using your credit card as your current emergency fund, I can tell you right now you're cooked. This is terrible. Do not do this. Next sign on the list here, let me ask you a question. Are you one of those people that tells yourselves, oh, I'll get serious about my finances when I make $100K a year. I'll take everything seriously when I get a raise? Because I'll be honest, throughout all my early 20s, this was me. Hands up, full accountability. I was this person where I said, I will not be happy. I will not take my finances seriously until I make $100,000. And it sounds reasonable, right? Like I had full conviction in that. But it is one of the biggest financial traps you will ever fall into. If you can't manage your money now, more money is just going to mean bigger problems. We've all heard it. More money, more problems. Your habits 100% will scale with your income. So if you spend everything you have at $50,000 a year, you are probably going to spend everything you have making $80,000 a year too. It's just going to be on nicer stuff because your lifestyle is going to inflate. So getting serious about finances will never revolve around how much money you make. Is it going to make things easier? Maybe. But it's about what you do with income you already have. Waiting for more money is just pushing the problem down the road. So if you are someone who is doing this, you are just cooking yourself here. Don't wait to make more money before you start taking your finances seriously. I have plenty of videos on this channel of how I talk about how I took my finances very seriously at $19 an hour, and it's made my life a lot easier. So keep that in mind. Next sign on the list here is if you have never checked your monthly expenses, in my opinion, this is somewhat of an issue. And here's why. It is very easy to do this nowadays. A lot of people put an excuse out that it's like, I don't want to write down everything on a pen and paper. If you use a decently sized bank, you do not have to write anything down. I use Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo literally has a button that I can go into my checking account and I can export all my deposits, withdrawals, everything, reoccurring payments, everything onto an Excel spreadsheet instantly. So as long as you use a decent sized bank, I guarantee you if you go on there, there's a button you can click that will export everything for you onto your computer. You don't have to go caveman style and write everything down to check your monthly expenses. Now, obviously, if you don't check your monthly expenses written out, you might not be bad with your money. Just because you check your monthly expenses doesn't mean you're necessarily good with your money either. I just think it's a great way to get visibility on your finances and see what's actually going on. So this is one of those things where it feels normal to not check your monthly expenses, but I would highly recommend it, once again, just to get visibility on your finances and really see where your money's going. Next on the list here, if you do not know how much money is in your bank account, simple as that. This is a big red flag. You don't need to know the exact dollar. I'm not telling you need to know how many pennies are in your bank account, but you should be close. You should have something in mind. And if you're off by a few $100s, it usually means you're probably not tracking anything, and checking your monthly expenses would probably do you pretty good. It'd probably help you out a good amount. And this is how people will start overdrafting their account. They'll start double spending, or they think they have a lot more money than they actually do, because you're basically guessing every single time you start spending money. So it takes 10 seconds to check your bank account. If you do not know how much money is in your account right now, this, in my opinion, is a huge red flag. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money is if you are paying for subscriptions that you do not need and or you forgot you had. Now, for example, for the first one, I was actually paying for a subscription recently that I didn't need. I had a viewer comment on one of my videos asking me why I was paying $12.99 a month for Spotify when I had YouTube Premium that came with YouTube Music. That viewer on my channel literally saved me $12.99 a month. I did not know that YouTube Premium came with YouTube Music. Therefore, I was paying for a Spotify subscription that I did not need. Another example here is if you are paying for random subscriptions that you forgot about. This happens to a lot of people where they get to the point where they have like 3 $15, subscriptions that they forgot they paid for. 15 times 3 is 45. That's close to a tank of gas. So paying for subscriptions that you lost visibility on, this just, come on, little bro. You gotta know what you're paying for here. Check your monthly expenses, cancel all the subscriptions that you don't need or you forgot you had. It's gonna free up a little bit of cash flow every single month. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money is if your lifestyle inflates every single time your income goes up. This is probably the most common way a lot of people stay stuck when they're making more money. This is how you see people making $200K a year living paycheck to paycheck, because every single time those people get raises, their expenses go up. They get nicer apartments, they upgrade their house, buy a nice car, upgrade their watch collection, and you never will actually get ahead doing this. And the whole point of making more money is to create more financial margin in your life, right? You want to save more, you want to invest more, you want to have more freedom. So if your lifestyle keeps inflating every single time you get a raise or get more pay, you're keeping yourself behind. And honestly, this is super hard to not fall into. When I got my new raise, I talked about this in my last net worth video. When I got my new raise, my new pay at this new job, I was looking at watches, I was looking at cars. Even someone like me who's very on top of my finances, this is very easy to fall into. And if you do fall into this, you are cooked. You will set yourself behind so far in your financial journey, it's going to be very hard to get out of it. Next up on the list here is not knowing your credit score. And to be fair, this isn't the biggest deal in the world. If you don't know your credit score, that doesn't mean you're doing bad financially, but I do think this is a good number to at least have visibility on. You should at least have a ballpark idea of what your credit score is, especially if your credit score is poor or average. The reason why is you can fix that. You know what you need to do to fix that. And a lot of people, especially in America, whether you try to get an apartment, a car, whatever it might be, your credit score is going to get pulled for everything. It's like a stamp you wear when it comes to your finances. So you should at least have some type of idea what your credit score is. This is one of those things, I'm going to put it here. It feels normal to not really know your credit score. A lot of people don't know their credit score if you ask them. But in my opinion, it shouldn't be. You should at least have some type of ballpark idea of where you're sitting. Now, this next sign here is probably one that a lot of people don't think of, but if you do not know the interest rates on any of your debt. Now, in my opinion, this is a big one because if you don't know the interest rates, you don't know how expensive your debt actually is and how much it's costing you. So for example, a 6% loan and a 24% interest credit card are two completely different situations. But if you treat them the same, you can end up paying way more than you actually need to. So interest, once again, how we talked about with the minimum payments, that's what keeps people stuck. And if you're not aware of how much interest you're actually being charged, you can't prioritize what to pay off first and or how aggressive you should be. And it's a very simple thing to check, but it makes a huge difference in how you actually handle your money. So you should, in my opinion, rule of thumb, know what your interest rates are, especially on high interest debt like credit cards. You might have a credit card out there that you have $1,000 on, not realizing it's charging you 33% interest. So this is one of those come on situations. You should at least have a good general understanding of how much interest each loan and or high interest debt is charging you. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money is if you are spending more than you make. This is the simple formula to living paycheck to paycheck. Anyone that lives paycheck to paycheck simply does because they spend more money than they make. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to fix. You know, life's expensive. Things are expensive. The job market's not that good. It's hard to make a lot of money. I get it. But if you don't want to live paycheck to paycheck, this is the first thing that you need to figure out. Now, when you're spending more than you make, there's usually a few issues that is causing this, but the easiest way to fix this, if you're out there and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're like, how can I get out of this? You need to start implementing small, good financial habits into your life. Whether it's building a very small budget and trying to live by it, setting a daily spending limit for yourself. Anything you can do to cut down your spending while still making the same amount of money you're doing right now, it's just gonna leave you a little bit more room, a little bit more gap between your earnings and your actual spending. So if you are spending more than you make, you are cooked. This is something that you need to figure out instantly. Next sign on the list here that you are bad with money is if you treat your tax return as a bonus. Now in America, right, there's this thing called tax return season. I don't know if it exists around the world, but at least here in America, around March and April time, when everyone starts getting their tax returns back, you got all these companies doing tax savings are here. Tax season is in right now. And you'll see all these companies doing 10% off, 20% off, 30% off because they know that Americans are bad with their money and they got a little bit of extra money in their pocket from their taxes and they're ready to blow it. They're ready to blow that quote unquote extra bonus money when it's literally taxes that the government owes back to you. So in my opinion, your tax return should go straight into savings or investments. It should not be treated as a bonus to go upgrade some part of your life. So this, in my opinion, is a big red flag. If you treat your tax return as a bonus, this money can be used in a lot better places when it comes to your finances. And to round off the list here is if you are waiting to invest. This is a sign that you are bad with your finances, and let me explain why. There's typically 3 reasons people are waiting to invest. The first is, like here on the list, they're going to wait to figure it out. Or like here on the list, they're going to think they need to make more money. And or they're going to think, oh, the market's shaky, the news is going crazy, I shouldn't put my money into the market. All 3 of those things, in my opinion, are terrible reasons to not invest your money and or to wait on investing. The best time to invest is right now, especially if you're young. If you are young, you have so much time on your hands that your money is going to grow and it's going to compound over the next 20 to 30 years. Because realistically, if you're investing, you should be investing for the long term. You shouldn't be investing to try to make profit next month. You should be investing to hope that your investment portfolio is up in the next 10, 20, 30 years. So waiting to invest is putting you very far behind. And in my opinion, this is a big red flag. Most of us have no excuse to not invest, especially when nowadays you can invest $5 a week, $10 a week. Just building that habit is really going to put you ahead in your finances. And that concludes the tier list. So these are all the signs and the rankings that I believe show that you are bad with money. And don't take this personally. This is just a fun tier list. If you get your feelings hurt, don't get your feelings hurt. I was terrible with money. I didn't start taking my finances seriously till around 23 years old. I'm 26 now. So let me know in the comments down below what signs you've ran into that made you realize you are bad with money, or what you agree with and what you don't agree with on this tier list. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.